America's presidents have always brought something unique to the White House. From revolutionaries to businessmen to statesmen, their common thread has been clear: a commitment to the founding principles that make America great. Until recently, there was something else every president since World War II had in common. They all saw Adolf Hitler for the genocidal monster he was. All of them except one, Donald Trump. After 80 years of presidents who despised Nazism, Donald Trump became the first one to praise it.
They're poisoning the blood of our country.
It's sick. It's wrong. And the Republican Party is defending it. And if you're a Republican voter, it's time to ask yourself, is this who you are? Because if you're still defending Donald Trump, the answer is yes.
Ooh, that's a good way to start the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. And if you didn't get it from the title and the thumbnail from this video, we are going to do, I think we've had enough occurrences, allegations, and actual proof that this whole movement of Donald Trump's, the whole MAGA movement, Project 2025, everybody behind them, I feel like they're, because I keep calling them authoritarian or dictatorship, but we think it goes a lot further than that, and it goes into Nazism. So we're going to try and, I guess, piece the puzzle together throughout the show to try and prove our theory here. But a lot of scary stuff happening, a lot going on in politics. These people are getting increasingly more desperate, and the threats are coming out.
And that's where the scary part comes, the desperation as the country galvanizes against this Trumpism, this MAGA, this not faux Nazism, because it might not be true, actual. They're not wearing, well, some of them are wearing the Nazi armbands. But the point is that this movement is so closely modeled after Nazism that there is no functional difference. And we're seeing people that are quickly getting backed into a corner, and all they have left is their hate, their prejudices, and their bigotry, and their lies. And that's what we think we're going to try and point out today.
Now, I know people can, like, a lot of people probably say that can't happen in America. It could never happen. However, I disagree, because in the 1930s, before World War II, before we got involved, and started fighting against the Nazis, there was a very large, and we've shown the video, there was a huge pro-Nazi movement in the United States after the 1936 Olympics, because the one thing Adolf Hitler was extremely good at, and I forget the name of the guy, of course I'm going to forget his name, and see if I have it here, who handled all of his propaganda. Was it Goebbels? I can't remember.
Goebbels.
Okay. Yeah, it was. Good guess. Holy shit. So yeah, what they did is they made the Olympic, because he didn't give a shit about sports. He didn't care about any of that. No, what he wanted to showcase was Nazism, what he built. He was
Aryanism.
Right. So when everybody went over there, it was the first time the world really got a chance to see Germany since Adolf Hitler took over in
true Nazi Germany.
Right.
And something
and
people don't realize about that, and a small anecdote, I have, because one of my favorite relatives used to travel a lot and acquire lots of coins and currency. I have actual coins from Nazi Germany. Like it's like Deutschland, and on the back is like a giant swastika. Like that was their country.
Yeah.
They remodeled their country after their socio-political takeover movement. That's scary, and that's close to what they want to do here. So,
right. And again, this is not far-fetched. Let me play this first video just to kind of get the ball rolling. This was this is reports of Donald Trump used to sleep with a book of Hitler quotes next to his bed. Allegedly, whatever.
Donald Trump talking about Hitler and Mein Kampf. I almost wonder if I've had too much NyQuil the night before. I mean, it's a little fever dreamy. It's a little strange. Yeah. And we should note when he says, well, I haven't read Mein Kampf, I don't own a copy of Mein Kampf. I mean, we should note there was a 1990 Vanity Fair article where, it was reported that Ivana Trump, his first wife, said Donald Trump had a book of Hitler quotes. And so this has come up in biographies about Donald Trump, people talking about Donald Trump. his past and so on, that he has had something of a fascination with Adolf Hitler over the years.
Of course he has. The guy
Right.
tells you every single day that he models himself after, and he only sees strength in dictators. He
Right.
only understands, like, if there's ever been a guy that is so base and only understands the grossest, most disgusting social expectations of what man means, it's
Exactly.
Donald Trump, right? Boastful and vicious. And that's all
Right.
he respects in people.
So we have 5 different. We narrowed it down. There was a bunch, like 2 pages worth, but we narrowed it down to 5 different, I guess, topics to revolve around.
Pillars.
Right. So the pillars, yeah, we're making our own pillars. So the first one was centralization of power. Okay, now Hitler consolidated power through the Enabling Act, which allowed him to enact laws without parliamentary consent and eliminated political opposition. The one thing Donald Trump wants to do, the main thing Donald Trump wants to do when he gets into office, if he ever gets into office, is make it so he has as much power as possible, basically sidestepping the entire legislative branch of the government.
Well, it's
being
brilliant.
able to make and enact laws, whatever he feels are necessary.
So it's brilliant because the founders did the best they could with trying to put a representational democracy together that had the best interest of the people at heart. And the way they did that is they created a system of checks and balances, right? We got the 3 branches of government, none of which can outdo the power of any other, which Trump and most of MAGA don't even understand in the first place. It's why Trump truly believes that Obama just did things that he wanted, because he believes the power of the presidency is a dictatorial power, but it's not.
Right.
We got the checks and balances. But what Trump would do and has done and will continue to do is water down the neutrality of the, I don't know, Supreme Court by putting a bunch of jokers on it. Like we have Clarence Thomas. We have Samuel Alito. He put Brett Kavanaugh, a drunk frat boy who cried at his hearing because Kamala Harris was too mean to him. Okay. We have Amy Coney, Handmaid Barrett. Like, so if you have the Supreme Court, and we don't know yet how they're going to end up, but it already doesn't look great. But if you have the Supreme Court and you have Congress and you have the Senate, suddenly, if all of those people that you know are already vying for Donald Trump, right? He made his triumphant return to DC, and all the Republican Congress people were worshiping him in public. So if you have people willing to debase the Constitution and forego their oath to this country and hand that power over to Donald Trump, despite the fact that we have checks and balances, you have centralized power, because if all of those branches are compromised and willing to follow the orders and whim of a tyrant, okay, you've lost your checks and balance. So centralization of power is key to any authoritarian regime, and it's central to Donald Trump's focus on regaining the White House to save himself first, and then he doesn't care. Let the real fascists take over. We'll see.
He will not leave. I mean, could you imagine if they made it to where it's like it stays in his family, like he just gets the United States and his sons would take over? Never mind. That would just be an absolute nightmare.
Well, we've seen like signs at some of the rallies where it'll be like, Donald Trump 2024, Don Jr. 2028 through 2032. And then it's like Eric Trump, Harry Trump. Like, we literally fought a war for this. But we'll get to the crazy. We'll get to
recently, Roger Stone, I guess, again, this guy doesn't understand how audio works and video. Roger Stone recently reveals an insidious plan to help Trump win the election. This guy will not go away. How does this guy, hold up, how is this guy still free? The guy's on recording threatening to kill members of Congress. Why is he not in jail? All right, anyway. Sorry, I had to get that out. Trump's side will be armed with lawyers, judges, and technology. I don't know what that means. To challenge the official results if necessary. At least this time when they do it, you have a lawyer and a judge, his home phone number standing by so you can stop it. We made no preparations last time. None.
Oh, he's admitting
it. Technical legal steps. Seriously, this guy just tells people this stuff. Legal steps that we have to try and take to try and be a more honest election. Okay.
Wait.
We're not there yet, but there's things that can be done.
Last time What? Meaning last time you tried to take over the government? Because you just admitted that it's not about a free and fair election, right? No one stole the election. You just admitted you tried to steal the election.
Right.
But that's what this is all about, and we'll get into it a little.
Mhm.
There's multiple facets to this. You also have to have a voter base in Trump's case, not in Hitler's case, because it was more him rallying national fear and resentment against a group of people
Mhm.
to galvanize his power. And Trump is doing that to a large extent, but unlike Nazi Germany, and again, I'm not a scholar on World War II and Nazi Germany, but from what
Mhm.
read, learned, been taught, all of that, there wasn't a fanatical base of Germans that were yearning already to overthrow the government. Most of the MAGA
Mhm.
people are the same lunatics that think that they should be left to live out in the woods and shoot anyone that walks within their binoculars. Like, come on.
Right.
These aren't so we're talking about a propaganda machine that is taking advantage of a willing base. So in many ways, and I think we're going to try and point it out, it's more dangerous what Trump is doing with the Third Reich than what Hitler did.
Really, the Third Reich. That's right.
I've been
I
wanting to
like
work that
better.
in.
Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich. All right. But just to see how ridiculous this is, this was when Bill Barr was interviewed because of allegations, of course, again, about Donald Trump threatening to execute people that went against him or that leaked info. Execute them.
Yeah.
Execute them. I feel like I have to say that multiple times to get it sunk into people's heads. And he doesn't deny that. He actually is pretty much admitting that Donald Trump says it, but that we shouldn't take it seriously. Are you? Okay, yeah, no,
I
funny.
hear from a lot of
You're so
Republicans who defend Trump saying, well, that's a hypothetical and that's ridiculous. But Alyssa Farah Griffin, who was Trump's communications director, posted yesterday and said that you were present at a moment when Trump suggested executing the person who leaked information that he went to the White House bunker when those George Floyd protests were happening outside the White House. Do you remember that?
I remember him being very mad about that. I actually don't remember him saying executing, but I wouldn't dispute it. I mean, it doesn't sound. The president would lose his temper and say things like that. I doubt he would have actually carried it out. I don't.
But he would say that on other occasions. You said
the president. The president had a. I think people sometimes took him too literally, and he would say things like similar to that in occasions to blow off steam. But I wouldn't take him literally every time he did it.
Why not?
Because at the end of the day, it wouldn't be carried out and you could talk sense.
But just because it's not carried out and you could talk sense into him, doesn't that still mean that the threat is there?
Exactly. What if he gains all this power that he wants? Like, that's what Hitler wanted, okay? Hitler was the chancellor at one point, and then von Hindenburg, I think was his name, was the president. And then in 1934, von Hindenburg dies, and then Hitler declares himself unilaterally supreme leader, both chancellor and president. So that's basically Donald Trump wants to be president and Congress at the same time.
Well, dictator day one, he says.
Yeah, right. It'd be permanent. We would never have to vote. We would never vote again. That's the thing. Like, people don't understand. Like, you might not like Joe Biden, but if you vote for Joe Biden, then in 4 years, you get the next generation of politicians. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're never going to vote again.
Well, wait, hold on. You're going to vote, but it's going to look like Russian elections.
Right. And, yeah, right.
You're not going to. Even if you vote against Putin, they don't care who you vote for because they're just going to make sure that the other guy doesn't win.
Exactly.
We'll make sure.
Exactly.
Like I think the scary part is Bill Barr doesn't have the conviction to stand up for something that he's already spoken out against. And the cowardice comes from someone who is as highly educated as him. The man is not stupid, okay? And he knows how delicate law is. All you need is a General Flynn to decide that the president of the United States can, in fact, carry out any order he wants. And suddenly you have a section of the military that's going to follow their commander. And then that's going to trickle down. And if you don't think that's possible, you truly don't understand how this whole thing works, Commander-in-Chief. I'm not knocking anyone that's in service, but their job is to follow their commanders. And when your commanders tell you the country's been compromised, the communists took over, the president is demanding we act, I hate to break it to you, but if you have a bunch of soldiers that don't follow those orders, you don't have a good military. That's the whole point. You're supposed to use the military wisely, rarely.
And
Trump would not do that.
They also called General Mark Milley a traitor and called for his execution as well. Which is insane. Absolutely.
And we're also, by the way, a lot of these people that are calling for these military style tribunals, this Trump militaristic kind of rule of, I don't know, martial law of some sort, they didn't serve.
Right.
If Donald Trump is the commander-in-chief, I'm not saying the commander-in-chief needs to serve. I personally believe, just in my ridiculous opinion, the president should always be a civilian, only because in some way it reduces some allegiance to something other than directly the Constitution. But that's just me being a weirdo. Fine, whatever. But Donald Trump's allegiance isn't to anything except himself. And anyone that will offer him anything he wants will get his ear and get his vote and get his command. Right. That's where the danger comes in, because when he does consolidate power, which is his goal, he won't wield it indiscriminately. He'll let others tell him how to wield it. Right. And people will shape him to their whim because he's a weak coward and he's terrified of everything.
Exactly. So not only, because we've talked about Project 2025 a lot and Heritage Foundation and all that, but there are other people that are going to be involved in this, like Mike Davis. Who is Mike Davis? Mike Davis, former chief counsel for nominations to Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, founder and president of the Article 3 Project. Article 3 Project defends constitutionalist judges and the rule of law. My ass. Davis also leads the Internet Accountability Project, an advocacy organization fighting to rein the blah, 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 opposing cancel culture, fighting against the woke mob. Blah.
So this is the political. This is the political mechanism that Christian fascism, white supremacy, all of that has taken. They've lost the ability to take it by force. Okay, they can't ride at night with their pitchforks and their torches. Although they do march through towns with torches now, but you know. So what they do is they have all of these little groups that try and, you know, make sure we're adherents to the Constitution and American values. All buzzwords that mean white Christian landowners. Okay, that's all these people care about, and those are the people, through the fascism that Donald Trump is getting people to cheer for, those are the people that will reshape the country in their image.
Exactly. Now let me just give you a little slice of what kind of person Mike Davis is. He will be a high-ranking cabinet member. He will be with Trump. So let me just show
this. Charlie Kirk.
It's horrifying.
During my 3-week reign of terror as Trump acting attorney general, before I get chased out of town with my Trump pardon, I will rain hell on Washington, D.C. We've talked about this, Ben. I have 5 lists ready to go, and they're growing. List number 1, we're going to fire. We're going to fire a lot of people in the executive branch and the deep state. Number 2, we're going to indict. We're going to indict Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and James Biden and every other scumball, sleazeball Biden, except for the 5-year-old granddaughter who they refused to acknowledge for 5 years until the political pressure got to Joe Biden. Number 3, we're going to deport. We're going to deport a lot of people, 10 million people and growing, anchor babies, their parents, their grandparents. We're going to put kids in cages. It's going to be glorious.
Anchor babies. So Donald Trump's kids, are Donald Trump's kids going to go and get deported? Because I hate to break it to you, and this is my favorite part here. The majority of Donald Trump's children are, by definition, anchor babies. Okay?
My mom's an immigrant. Technically, I'd be out of here.
So again, and Jeremy, you said it earlier. It's like none of these people, they're all so freaking old-minded and dumb. They don't understand how technology works. That guy doesn't care if anyone sees what he's recording. But at the same time, we can now see what you just said. And you literally just said we are going to put people in cages, 10 million people and growing. What does that mean? That's cryptic as hell. Okay. Right. Again, when you have plans to start, that means, now this is how my brain works. If that institution is helping to draw up plans for mass deportations.
Yeah.
That means they have worked out schemes using the military, legit. Public transportation, some sort of, I don't know, maybe railway system to move people en masse to different concentrations, maybe in camp form. I don't know. But the point is, they're telling you,
like concentration camps,
yeah,
doesn't it?
Well, if they're this close to the election, getting ready to enact these plans day one, they already have figured out how they're going to round up
just
people.
In that short clip.
And I guarantee you a lot of it has to do with the reliance on National Guard and military use. They will deploy the military to patrol our streets. That's going to happen.
Will. Absolutely. Absolutely. So he's talking about consolidating power, firing everybody in the executive branch, weaponizing the government against political opponents, and deporting migrants and putting people in camps, including their families, their children, their grandparents, everybody. Now, my question is, we can't even get these assholes to give our kids free lunch in schools, which they also want to get rid of public education, by the way. So what's going to happen to a bunch of migrants that they're immigrants that they don't like? They're going to put in camps. You think they're going to just feed these people? Like, how is this going to be paid for? Do you think they're going to invest money in this? No, they're going to starve these people to death. It is going to be a crime against humanity.
And again,
on American soil.
There's something that we're going to tackle a little later on. Let me rephrase that. We are confident now that we are not speaking in hyperbole. And the reason is there's going to be a lot of pushback online of people that are going to defend Trump simply by saying, you're going too far. This is too much. They would never do that. You keep saying that, and then they keep going a little further. They keep telling you they're going to go further in that, and you keep saying they won't. Well, look how far they got before he was forced to leave by, just the Constitution. Okay?
Right.
What would he do if he knew he would never be held accountable again? Like I said, whatever the people that tell him what to do want to do. He will round up anyone. He will deploy the military, the centralization of power, the finding who you scapegoat. All of this is connected, and they're literally telling you they're planning for it.
Right, and they're going to put 40,000 loyalists within civil service jobs. All loyal to Donald Trump. All hail.
They
Donald
are the
Trump.
deep state.
It's going to be this gross. You guys got to think about it. He'll make Jan 6th the new Independence Day.
Yep.
I guarantee this. Everything I have, I guarantee this. He'll make that Jan 6th will be Independence Day. And he'll make his birthday or something like a national holiday.
Yeah, probably.
Where we all have to worship him with parades and shit. And he'll have he'll have statues all over the place of himself.
It'll be very Germany, Nazi Germany. Not only would there be parades with missiles and his face all over it.
Right. And the military marching through the streets and all that stuff. Like, do we really want somebody we have to worship, or do we want somebody that, we elect?
Well, that's important. That word is important because the difference between Hitler and Trump, and the reason I'm not saying in any way that Trump at this point in life did anything that compares into the severity of what Hitler eventually did. But Trump has the potential to be worse because people didn't worship Hitler. They were terrified of him, or they were indifferent to him because they were the nice Germans that just got to go to the fancy parties. Trump not only has worshipers, but he has been cultivating worshipers. All of the bullshit, all of the propaganda was to get this fanatical base that not only would vote for him no matter what, but would take action for him. We saw it once. Do not tell me they aren't capable of going to the next level.
Exactly. So, yeah, and I think we did this episode because I just see so many warning signs. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like history could repeat itself. It's a very real possibility that history could repeat itself if we ignore this. And it's not just the people that he surrounds us with, it's the stuff that he says. So let's go into the next thing, which is the eugenics part of it.
Ooh,
because
fun.
Donald Trump, on numerous occasions, we did another episode on this where he's used the term racehorse theory all the way back to the 80s. And for what people don't know what he's talking about selective breeding. And the reason he thinks he's smart, swear to God, is because he has a uncle that went to MIT. That's why he was
a smart man, one of the smartest. And because of that, because you apparently, what happens is, and I don't know if you knew this, Jeremy, I didn't know this until Donald Trump explained this to me, and I think all the people watching are probably not privy to this, but the way this works is when you're born, you have all the collective intelligence of all the individual people that existed before you in your bloodline. So if you had an IQ, if your grandpa had an IQ of 100, you must have an IQ of like 5,000, because if you add up all the IQs, that's how you got Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's
So let me
literally
play
what
this
the man
video.
thinks. The man thinks
And-
he is smart because he had a smart freaking uncle.
Yeah, and racehorse theory is a lot more than just talking about horses. He's talking about people. Okay, so that
Because-
brings in the eugenics, which what for people that want to know what it
Yeah.
is, it's nationalism centered on racial purity and expansionism.
It's
Okay, so
instead
let me
of
play this
natural
video.
selection, it's guided selection. Now, there are reasons to do that to benefit a society, possibly to
Mhm.
eliminate diseases. If one day we could figure out a way to never have anyone have cancer again, we better as
Yeah.
hell figure out a way to do that. But that's not what the Nazis did, and that's not what Donald Trump is doing and wants to
No.
do. What Donald Trump
Well-
believes is the best people, whatever that means, should keep breeding or should only be allowed to breed with the best people. Well, who defines who that is? How about this? I can tell you what the Nazis defined were not the best people. This is an actual propaganda ad from Nazi Germany.
And we're using this for educational purposes, obviously.
Yes. I'm going to read at the bottom. This is from a book by a man named Richard J. Evans called The Third Reich in Power. This is a poster of a eugenics exhibition in the 1930s that reads, "Sterilization is liberation, not a punishment." 3 handicapped children are pictured with the captions, "Who would want to be responsible for this?" Now, they don't mean who wants to be responsible to care for people who might be born with a disability, deformity, something else. What they're saying is who wants to be responsible for propagating filth and degenerate forms of people. Not my words. That's Nazi words. And trust me when I tell you, if you've read anything about what the Nazis did as far as their medical experiments, their medical beliefs, all of Nazism, the way they took over Germany was by convincing the average German that there were people that were not just less than human. Okay, there were people to them that were less than human, but that there was a pollution that could happen to people through the blood if you don't breed with the best people. They meant the Aryans.
Yeah.
What Donald Trump means, whoever the hell he thinks it means for him. I don't
Yeah,
care.
we've
or
all know he's made fun of disabled people in the open. He is also allegedly said to not put disabled veterans like with their limbs that have no legs or something around him because it makes him look bad. Like that's how he feels about it. I think that's another reason that it just kind of ties it all together. But let me play this video real quick. This is Trump talking about his uncle. It's so stupid.
I mean, look, I started. Even I say to myself, you're a freaking genius. Hey, look, I had an uncle, my father's brother, who's the longest serving president, he's the longest serving professor in the history of MIT. He graduated, he was a phenomenal student, a real genius, really brilliant guy. And, you know, I believe in the racehorse theory. Fast horses produce fast horses. Because you've got caravans. I can't.
See, there you go. There it
Now,
is.
he is not talking about horses.
No, not
Of
at all.
course, a good mob boss with plausible deniability will be like, yeah, racehorses. But he literally said, I'm smart. My uncle was the smartest man ever at MIT. I believe in racehorses breeding racehorses.
Exactly.
He's not that clever to like veil his language. He's literally telling you what he believes. And guess who that doesn't include, by the way? Just in case you don't know. Black people will not be probably allowed to breed. Gay people will not be allowed to breed or even be allowed to live, likely. Anyone with any deformity, anyone with Down syndrome, anyone with, I don't know, any color hair they don't like.
We're not being extreme here. This could be
like, this is what Nazi
possibility.
Germany did. And this is what Donald Trump, through a lot of his associates, have talked about stuff like this, about the eugenics aspect of white supremacy. You want to talk about just white people hating black people? That's despicable and repugnant. You want to talk about the true white supremacy, where they talk about racial purity. Okay, racial purity means one thing: clean
Right.
breeding. Clean
Mm-hmm.
breeding. Who defines who's clean? Who defines who gets to breed? That's the questions you got to ask in a Donald Trump presidency.
Right.
Or
And then
a
we'll show a
Donald
video
Trump
later.
Reich.
We'll show a video of later at Turning Point USA where they've declared it a white boy summer, which I'm pretty sure is a jab at the summer of love, because it's Juneteenth and everything. These guys have to be assholes and have to be racist.
Oh,
but
God.
Donald Trump spoke at this event, and we'll show the video later on. But Donald Trump also recently mentioned the same thing when he was talking about. I'm not going to play the video again because we're already halfway through the show about him shark attacks and electric boats. He actually mentioned because his relationship to MIT. What does that even mean, bro? I have a relationship with a college.
My uncle went there. Okay.
My uncle went there, but that's how despicable this shit is. All right, so the next topic is scapegoating and division. So instead of attacking the Jewish community, which they are doing,
I mean, yeah,
even though they defend Israel, they're still anti-Semitic, which makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Whatever.
Donald Trump's target is, and I'll just say it, all brown people.
Every shade, doesn't matter.
Right. They're talking about putting the military on the streets to round people up. Okay, this is not a joke.
How are they going to? Are they going to ask everyone politely?
People's houses. This is the situation where you have neighbors reporting neighbors. I think they have a Latino in their house.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like this is how serious this shit is. I wish people would get it. You know what I mean?
The thing that scares me
people would get it.
Is sometimes I get frustrated because I know for the most part we are talking to people that understand the severity of these issues. But if by chance people can't get to these conclusions on their own, you got to think of it like this. When they say, and we heard them say it, that they are going to deport 10 million people and growing, how do you identify them? Because you don't know who they are, because by definition, they are here undocumented illegally. So the only two ways you can attempt to find people who are here illegally is by looking at them and arbitrarily deciding what color they are is where you should question them. Or if other people say, I know I've seen a brown person. That's it. Those are the only ways. So how do you think they're going to do this?
Right. I forget who said it, but they're talking about like you have to have proof of citizenship on you at all times. So imagine a kid, 15, 16 years old, just going to the store to get some soda or something.
Oops, I forgot.
Cops grab him, rough him up, ask for his ID, doesn't have any ID on him because he just went 2 blocks from his house. Now he's in a detention camp, can't prove a citizenship because he didn't have any ID on him.
They're not going to give him one phone call.
Yeah, there's not going to be a justice system, okay? They're not going to get due process. They're not going to go to court.
No,
they're going to bypass all of this, okay? That's why I said it's going to be a crime against humanity what these people are playing.
If you think
that
can't happen, right? If you think that can't happen, let's place a different perspective on it. Right now, and through our entire history, cops in this country have decided I can just aggressively go after any black person I want, force them to give me their proof of identification, and if they look at me the wrong way, I'm either going to beat the shit out of them, take them to jail, or kill them. Don't tell me that's not happening. I don't want you watching the show if you think that's not happening. But here's the thing. None of the black people that the cops are targeting raise any thoughts in those cops' head that they might be here illegally. So if they're doing that to people that they think or know are likely here legally, what are they going to do to people that they go, well, they're not black, but they're a little less brown, so those little light brown people, let's go after them. Like when they know that the mandate is go after the browns, where do they differentiate? When do they stop? They will not. And this isn't new, okay? Donald Trump has never been a fan of any sort of immigration because I don't know if anyone knows this, the little secret about businesses in this country is it's not a problem of illegal immigration. It's a problem of illegal employment. Notice they're not going to round up all the employers that are hiring or paying the illegal aliens, right? They're not going to hire the billionaires, the billionaire farm mega farms that literally only exist because we have illegal immigration. Just so you know that. They're not going to go after them. But Donald Trump will tell you right who to go after. Now, I don't know the name of the artist. His signature is in the top right, but I thought it was very apt, and I enjoyed how it evoked a very old style piece of art, something you might see in World War II, because something that World War II really gave us was the art of propaganda unlike anything anyone has ever seen. You look at some German propaganda, they will show you literal rats with yarmulkes on their head and call them vermin and show them in a sewer or eating babies. Like, that is the type of shit that they show people. And if you think that's not where we are headed, you are out of your mind and not paying attention.
Here's a video of Donald Trump talking about immigrants. This was around the holidays, I believe.
It's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing. They're destroying our country. They don't like it when I said that. And I never read Mein Kampf. They said, oh, Hitler said that in a much different way.
What?
No, they're coming from all over the world, people all over the world. We have no idea. They could be healthy. They could be very unhealthy. They could bring in disease that's going to catch on in our country, but they do bring in crime.
Like COVID?
They have them coming from all over the world, and they're destroying the blood of our country. They're destroying the fabric of our country. And we're going to have to get them out. We're going to have to get mass numbers of these, especially the criminals. They're coming from jails, prisons. They're coming from mental institutions. They say, please don't say the words insane asylum. But I have to say it. They're emptying out the insane asylums from all over the world. Why wouldn't they? I would do it if I were running Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico.
Okay, so
they're emptying out.
He's naming brown countries.
Right, he's just naming countries that he remembers.
And don't forget, other speeches, he's not only reiterated those exact words, but he's added African countries. He's added Middle Eastern countries. The guy never once said people from Sweden are going to come here and steal your Social Security. Okay?
Right, Canadians.
He never said the Norwegians. The Norwegians are coming. Grab your kids. Like, he's telling you who he believes is the vermin. He's telling you who he believes if he's allowed in the blood. Now he's not talking about the literal blood. He's talking about the country's blood, right? We're a great melting pot with all the countries except those ones that are poisoning our blood. But at the same time, he is talking about the real meaning of that, because if he's not going to let any brown people in, he's not going to let any brown people have any other rights. And suddenly, if they see you walking and you're two brown people with a little one, hey, do you have a license to have that little brown one? Where's their work permit? Why aren't they at home by night? Like, this is the stuff that we know they will do because they are telling you. See, this episode isn't about us making things up. It's about reiterating what they are already telling you.
Yeah, even their slogan, we even looked into that. I mean, it's Donald Trump could have picked any slogan in the world, but he just happened to use one that is
want me to do it?
A Hitler speech. If you could go ahead and go over that one, Mike.
So first things first, Make America Great Again is absolutely something that echoes Make Germany Great Again, but it is not unique. Okay, it is not the concept that only Hitler came up with. It is basically something that all fascist type people, dictators, try and get their followers, if you will, to think in terms of. You got to make Germany great. Well, if Germany was great, what's different now? Okay, so according to Snopes, what is true about this claim that Make America Great Again is stolen from Nazi propaganda? This is important. So what's true? A prominent theme during the Nazi Party's ascendancy was restoring Germany to its former greatness. Again, whatever that means. And Adolf Hitler used the phrase "Make Germany Great Again" on occasion. What's false is "Make Germany Great Again" was not a campaign slogan. Okay? Right. And that's incredibly important, because one of our main focuses is that everything that Hitler did was political, of course.
Right.
But it wasn't
They didn't
as
really have
political.
campaign
It wasn't
slogans
exactly.
back
It
then.
wasn't truly the way Donald Trump is using it. And I could point it out that it was looser than that. It was left for interpretation. So the phrase as a recurrent slogan, Hitler did at least occasionally reference it. For example, according to an English translation of a speech Hitler delivered in February 1940, 7 years after being appointed, self-appointed, Chancellor of Germany, he cited it as one of the imperatives of his political movement. So what became a social rallying cry did in fact become a political motivated phrase. So, he says, nationalism and socialism had to be redefined, and they had to be blended into one strong new idea to carry new strength, which would make Germany great again. So what he's telling you is, this is my platform. This is what we need to do to make Germany what it once was, greater than now. Well, what's the difference?
Listen, if that's a Hitler speech, and Donald Trump slept with a book of Hitler speeches next to his bed, it's not hard to imagine that he possibly got his slogan, "Make America Great Again," from Adolf Hitler.
Look, we make fun of his melting pudding brain all the time, but when he was younger,
anything else, man.
When he was younger,
any other slogan.
Exactly. When he was younger, he was at least capable cognitively to read a book, maybe not for enjoyment, maybe not to the extent that he would be able to read, I don't know, something truly groundbreaking that would expand his mind. But I guarantee you someone that was narrow-minded, bigoted, racist, and hate-filled with a nihilistic, selfish personality would read Hitler's words and go, you're right. It's their fault. It's we got to make America where, white men used to run everything. And now there's all these scary black people and the gay ones, and women are allowed to say things and vote.
So
that's where this comes from.
We have that. So now we have that. All right. So he's saying things and, out of a book that was a Hitler speech, obviously. Then we also have them dehumanizing not only black and brown people, but the LGBTQ plus community as well. We haven't even gotten into that. Charlie Kirk was on a recent video talking about we should stone gay people to death. That's Kirk's words, not mine. I'm not going to play that video because if I could slap somebody through the screen.
This is a great comment by Sally S. He is so particular in his Mein Kampf pronunciation. That's a great pickup. Holy crap. He wanted to make sure he knew, and everyone knew that he knew how to pronounce it. Holy crap. That's free.
That's a good catch. So, all right. The last couple things we want to get into real quick. One is the cult of personality.
This is big.
For Hitler, he promoted a strong cult of personality through propaganda, portraying himself as Germany's savior. What is Donald Trump doing? He's going around portraying himself as America's savior.
He has said only Trump can save America. He has said those words, and he has martyrdom syndrome. Oh, they're doing this to me,
right?
For you, I'm suffering for you.
And this part borderlines, like we've said it, actually Mike said it in the last show and I can't get it out of my head. Like Donald Trump is a combination of Adolf Hitler and Jim Jones when it comes to this part. Because people worship him voluntarily, which people also did Adolf Hitler. They loved him for some reason. Because keep in mind, the Nazis called themselves conservatives. They consider themselves the far right.
Right? Because conservative means tightening in, bringing back. We're going to limit who's here. We're going to make it pure. We're going to bring it back to a simpler time when we could control is really what they mean.
And then, Hitler went to power shortly after the Great Depression. So a lot of things happened. And then that kind of Donald Trump's we're not in a Great Depression, obviously. Donald Trump wishes he always says we wish the stock market would crash.
He says
He's actually said that, you know what I mean? So there's just so many similarities that it just blows my mind. But let me play this video about just some random woman. I don't even know who this is, but this is the stuff these people say when it comes to Donald Trump.
Trump will win in an 82 million landslide. Not only will Donald Trump win in an 82 million landslide, but if they try and take it from him, if they try and put Biden in, I've spoken to great people in Portland, in Florida, and they say, we're all in, we're done. We will fight, we will join the militia, and we'll fight back. So,
really?
Yeah, America's gearing up for the fight. There's going to be a showdown.
That's what I was always thinking. Like, we can't let it happen.
Storm is coming. It's really hot. Almost as hot as me.
The Q storm.
Not as hot as you.
It's hot. Well, come on. The storm is coming.
It just gets so weird. It's just so strange. I mean, these are the same people that would go up and kiss a gold statue of Donald Trump at one of his events.
This is why Trump, in like I said, Trump hasn't done the things that Hitler did. But the way Trump has the potential to be worse is he has a fanatical cult. Fanatical in the actual literal sense. They are fanatics. They are religious fanatics because they are now at the point where they are blending or blurring or merging the lines between their belief in their Christian God and Donald Trump. And what we get from that, like Jeremy said, is a dangerous echo of Jim Jones. And I'm going to go over that very briefly because it defines what, in many ways, not just a cult of personality is, but a cult. If you don't know who Jim Jones is, he ended up bringing a bunch of his cult followers to a place in Guyana that was referred to as Jonestown. And it was established by the People's Temple, an American cult, under the leadership of Jim Jones. Jonestown became internationally infamous when on November 18th, 1978, a total of 918 people died at the settlement at the nearby airstrip in Port Gaituma and at a temple-run building in Georgetown, Guyana's capital city. The name of the settlement became synonymous with the incident at those locations. So Jim Jones was a pastor, a community leader, someone that over time developed followers that would believe that only truth could come through him. This person had their best interests at heart. This man had spoke the truth and had a way to get people what they needed, which was a better world for them and their children. This is how it ended. So now, if you ever heard the phrase "drink the Kool-Aid," now I've been corrected. I've been corrected many times. Kool-Aid wants everyone to know it was not Kool-Aid; it was an imitation of Kool-Aid. But
gotcha.
So from now on, we will refer to it as fruit drink, powdered fruit drink. But the point is that Jim Jones convinced almost 1,000 people to kill themselves and their children. Now, some will say, well, that was a religious cult. Okay. Charles Manson convinced a bunch of people to kill other people.
It's a cult.
That's a cult.
Yeah.
Okay. So cults aren't really defined by their size. They're defined by their mechanism and that they have a centralized leader that the cult believes is their only source of truth, knowledge, and power.
Donald Trump convinced a bunch of people that the election was being stolen from them and they should attack the Capitol building. That's cult shit. Okay. That's
and guess what?
There's no other way to say it.
Guess what? This time around, this time around, it's Trump or death. Trump or death. If you're going to make that sign and not stand by it, then boy, are you good at marketing. But I got to tell you, you listen to a lot of people that interview MAGAs on the streets, and they will tell you, I would rather die than live in Joe Biden's America. Well, guess what? Trust the plan. What plan? These people are speaking in coded language. They're talking as if they have a more true knowledge of what's supposed to be, of what's going to happen. You just wait and see. Trump will save us. You'll see. You'll know. You just trust. There's a new Q drop. It's all a cult. And what's terrifying to me is that Adolf Hitler didn't have a cult. Adolf Hitler had people that were manipulated and willing, equal combination. What we have in this country is a country that finally seems to be waking up, but it has not been able to rid itself of the cancer that is the fanatical MAGA movement. Those people are willing to die and kill for him. Why do we know that? Some of them have already killed. There were police officers at the Capitol riot that died. Okay. If people are going to wound someone to the point that they die they didn't do it for democracy. Okay. I hate to break it to you. They think they did because that's the buzzword.
Right.
They did it for Donald Trump, their leader.
And they believe what Donald Trump says. That's the problem. These people have everything he says they believe. It's crazy. You should see the comment section on their Instagram post. It's nothing but Fox News talking points. I think that's what. All right, the last thing we're going to get into, and I think the most important thing is the use of propaganda, because that was one of the things that Hitler was very, very good at, and Donald Trump is very good at it as well. The only problem is, I think it's more dangerous for Donald Trump because 1940s, the 1930s, there was no social media, there was no Fox News. And then Trump's propaganda team, we have Marjorie Taylor Greene, aka Moscow Marjorie, got Steve Bannon, Alex Jones, both and Rudy Giuliani, all three of them have lost everything supporting Donald Trump. And then in the middle there, we got Fox News amplifying all of this. Like if Donald Trump calls Jesse Waters is like, hey, I need you to say something for me. Jesse Waters does it. I mean, I can't prove
allegedly,
but seriously, it's getting so.
Look, how about this? We're at the point where the idea that there isn't a centralized messaging mechanism within the Christian fascist MAGA Trump universe, because they're all connected, okay, would be such a lazy way of thinking. They are coordinated. We know that because they created whole networks where they can literally just deliver the propaganda. Okay, they managed to steal so many voters away from Fox News that the truest hardcore MAGA people don't even watch Fox News anymore.
Right. All right, so we have like 4 videos to get through. We have running out of time here, but let's do this. Let's do this. So all right, so not only is it the propaganda, but it's the undermining of democratic norms. So before Hitler took power, it was the Weimar Republic, I believe it was called. And it was a loose democracy after the end of World War I. Hitler didn't like that, obviously. That's why he consolidated power. That's why he never left. That's why he started doing everything that he did. So now we have their chief propagandist. This is the Turning Point USA, where Donald Trump did speak. This is the same event where Donald Trump forgot his own doctor's name after bragging about taking a cognitive test, which we do have that clip. Of course, can't let you down. So this first video, though, is Alex Jones. I'm sorry, no, this is Alex Jones at Turning, who just lost everything. I believe his show is getting shut down or has been shut down. Yeah. So let's talk about this one real quick.
What do you think they'll do to President Trump between now and Election Day?
You're reading my mind.
What will they do to him?
God literally gave us Donald Trump imperfect as most men or women that God raises up in history. But he is a man of steel. He is a man who has ice water in his veins. He is a man who is stronger under attack. And so they have already put him through hell with all these show trials and writ court, civil and criminal. And they are going to try to assassinate President Trump. The WF and the UN and Bill Gates have said they're bringing new lockdowns, more forced injections. They're cutting off the farms. They're cutting off the energy. And if you think the economy in free fall right now is bad, it is going to be 10 times worse. So this is existential. We are at war with the globalists, and we must now recognize that this is a war. This is just as important as 1776, and in the context of the population of the world, the weapons we have now, it is more important.
That rhetoric is irresponsible.
Here, before we even get into that, let me play Steve Bannon. This is Steve Bannon talking at Turning Point USA, which, by the way, is run by loser Charlie Kirk.
If they steal this election, and they fully intend to steal it, this republic ends. Are you prepared to fight? Are you prepared to give it all? Are you prepared to leave it all on the battlefield? Ladies and gentlemen, it's very simple. Victory or death.
Yeah, that's what they're at, man. Tell me that. Come on, just admit it. Like, I wish people would stop sugarcoating it. Like, oh, he's gonna be a dictator for one day. No, this dude wants to be the 21st century Adolf Hitler. I'm sorry.
What's really interesting is we spend a lot of time, and a lot of independent media and opinion sources spend a lot of time showing videos like that at Turning Point, at the NRA, at all these little conventions. What people have to understand is that is the campaign. There is no platform for the Republican Party. Okay. No. The Congress that we have has done nothing since they've been in power Right now, they have multiple bills so that they could put Donald Trump's face on the $500 bill, to name all of the waters off the East Coast after Trump, to make it so that you can't say bad things about Trump in committee meetings. So they have done nothing for you. And Donald Trump now doesn't even pretend. Okay, if you listen to the thread that goes between Steve Bannon and Donald Trump and all of these guys, is they're going to get you. The country is being destroyed from within and without. Only I can save you. And I am becoming a martyr for you because they are attacking me because I speak the truth. And you love me. I love you. You better defend me because I'm getting killed for you. It's martyrdom syndrome. It's a cult. And it is way worse in potential than what the Nazis did, because we live at a time now where the speed of information can also be manipulated. And imagine what happens when we don't have the ability to speak truly. No one's going to know what's really going on if you don't have access to a free internet, if you don't have access to a free and fair media, if you don't have access to leaders that will tell you the truth. Donald Trump is not advocating for a country with better health care, with anything to help its people. He talks about taxes. He's not going to do anything. He talks about eliminating tips. He can't do that. What he's telling you most of the time in his speeches, when you could even decipher what he's saying, is that the scary people are coming in to get you. The government is going to get you. I am going to save you, and they're attacking me for it. Oh, by the way, we're in a war. You have to fight for your life. That's a cult. That's a cult.
Definitely a cult. Now,
this video of Trump.
Yeah, this next video should pretty much sum the cult thing up. This is another video of Turning Point USA where they've declared it White Boy Summer. Jesus Christ. I also clipped, this is a couple of videos clipped together, but this is also where Donald Trump forgets his own doctor's name while bragging about a dementia test. It's like, you couldn't write this. You could not write this. Ronnie Johnson. Wait a second. That's not right.
You are. At the end of the speech, I'll be taking some questions. So this is different than Joe Biden. He doesn't take any questions. He doesn't even know what the word inflation means. I don't think if you gave him a quiz, I think he should take a cognitive test like I did. I took a cognitive test and I aced it. Dr. Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson, Congress?
Look at those dweebs.
I may have added the circus music. I forgot I may have added that. I just the look on Charlie Kirk's face, because Donald Trump was like, I'm going to answer questions. Then he spoke, and then he just left. And you can see Charlie Kirk just standing there like, shit. Yep. He totally forgot. Oh, it's so good. But I think another thing that makes Donald Trump even more dangerous is his cognitive abilities are not there anymore. We've watched videos of him for when he was president, and he has declined a lot. Even when he spoke remember we watched the video when he spoke at the UN, he was actually able to speak and form a thought.
I dare say articulate himself.
Right.
Maybe a little.
Right. So there's a new book coming out, a new reporting. Let me see if I can find my slide here. And I don't know how to say the author's name, but he also wrote another book. Raman. I love Raman. I'm not gonna say his last name. I'll butcher it. He's an award-winning journalist, New York bureau chief for Variety. He was formerly a senior writer at Newsweek and also has written for the Wall Street Journal, LA Times, U.S. News and World Report, and he also wrote Ladies Who Punch.
I want to read that.
Yes, apparently he spent a lot of time with Donald Trump, and this is what he has to say about it. And I think people should pay attention to this. I wish this was a lot bigger story.
The other thing that I think is really interesting, because I really got to know Donald Trump post-presidency, and I got to see what he was like. And over the weekend, he was talking about how Joe Biden needs to take a cognitive test. Joe Biden, isn't all there. Donald Trump had severe memory issues. as the journalist who spent the most time with him, I have to say he couldn't remember things. He couldn't even remember me. We spent an hour together in 2021 in May, and then a few months later, I went back to the White House. I went back to Trump Tower to talk to him about his time in the White House, and he had this vacant look on his face, and I said, "Do you remember me?" And he said, "No." He had no recollection of our lengthy interview that we had, and he wasn't doing a lot of interviews at that time. So I think that the American public really needs to see this portrait of Donald Trump, because this shows what he is like and who he is and who he has always been.
Yeah. If that's I mean, we can't give somebody like this the ultimate power. We can't make this person the most powerful person in the world. He's a threat not only to democracy, he's a threat to our way of life, he's a threat to our very freedom. But he's also a threat to the entire world because of the power he would possess if he were to get away with his plan.
And that's the scariest thing, is he has his plans. Okay, his only goal is to save his own bacon. So many people are so aware of the ability to manipulate him. It's like not hard. You flatter him, you throw him a couple of bucks, and you tell him he looks young and his hair is great. Okay, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. The problem is he's losing his mind. It is not even deniable anymore. The guy is almost drooling and dribbling. It is getting to the point where it might even be elder abuse to keep running him out there. Okay.
If Biden was saying the same things, they would impeach him immediately and put him in a home.
So what's scary is that Hitler started to lose his mind towards the end of his time through documented drug use that was prescribed to him. The guy was on a million different uppers and downers. He was prescribed daily cocaine sniffs, by the way. That's like what it was called or something like that. The guy is known to not only have used methamphetamine himself, but the entire SS, the creepy super Nazi brigade,
they all used it. His doctor
all the time.
Hitler's personal doctor is the inventor of methamphetamine.
Yeah. So
a lot of people don't know that.
Now, the reason that's important is because I wish I brought the slide up, but I forgot to load it.
Ronnie Johnson.
If you remember the White House pharmacy log where it said ketamine, lamazepam, whatever these drugs are, all
stimulants.
It even had fentanyl. Someone wrote fentanyl, 20 milligram, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And again, I'm only saying this because Donald Trump could get back into power at the state that he is in mentally.
Right.
Okay.
You know
That's what's terrifying.
This situation at the White House was so bad, the pill mill thing, they actually demoted Ronnie Jackson. He was an admiral.
Yep.
He's now a captain. He's no longer Admiral Ronnie Jackson. He's Captain Ronnie Jackson. That is a huge
spanky pants.
Getting demoted from admiral to captain, that is such a disgrace.
I gotta tell you though,
people would hang their head in shame, but they still freaking call him admiral. He's not an admiral. He lost that title.
Well, according to me, in my opinion, and I have no military authority, General Flynn is not a general. He's a piece of shit. No. So we got one too.
Yeah. All right, that's all we have for today. We've actually missed a few slides. We had so much material for this show.
Hey, I'd rather over-prepare.
Hopefully we were able to connect all the dots properly. But yeah, it's just more serious than people would think. Like I said, our very freedom.
It's a playbook.
Yeah, they have a playbook. They have it.
They're reading it.
It's 900 pages long.
It's funny. They didn't want to follow the infectious disease guide that was left for them.
Right.
Okay. But they did follow the Nazi guide. So that's a little scary.
So Trumpism to me and Nazism are one and the same. You can deny it all you want, but just keep in mind that in the future, I mean, that's what I think now when I think of Trump supporters, whether they like it or not. I mean, this is Nazism in America in 2024 being perpetuated by right-wing politics and right-wing media. It's not Soviet propaganda. It's not all that shit. This is absolute 100% trying to model this like it's the Fourth Reich or something like that.
The Third Reich.
The Third Reich. And so, but yeah, please get out and vote. And yeah, just educate yourself because these things are very serious. And
educate someone else. Look, it doesn't have to be us that you turn people onto, although, that would be awesome if you did. But I
Right.
mean, this is World War II. This is like solid, we're done. This is history. Anything that counters that is rewriting history. We know what happened. Go look at the pictures. Go read the books. Go look at the videos. Because I guarantee you, when we have internet capabilities like China, we won't be seeing those images anymore. So please go vote.
Yeah, everything's at stake. Public schools, everything's at stake. Like all that. It's crazy. So yeah, that's the end of the show. That's all we have for today. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, somebody asked in the beginning. So we are going to be putting out more videos. So you might see videos of just me or just Mike. We're trying to create some additional content, some shorter form content. So you might see that as well. Be back next Tuesday. We're not going to be on Sunday, so we'll be back next Tuesday.
Crap, I forgot about that.
Which we're going to be talking about celebrities and their influence. We're going to be talking about who's celebrities on what side. I'll tell you what, MAGA's celebrity list is just an all-star.
Let's just say a picture surfaced of Roseanne Barr the other day in white,
now what?
Shitty dreadlocks.
Oh, you're kidding. All right. Anyway, please like and subscribe if you could. Share the video. It helps us out tremendously. Leave a comment below. And you guys can always hit us up on social media. So have a good night. Other than that, we will talk to you guys soon.
He calls those who oppose him vermin. He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany. He proudly posts on social media the words that best describe his 2024 campaign, quote, revenge, quote, power, and quote, dictatorship. There's no confusion about who Trump is, what he intends to do.